everyone, welcome to my real-time and also live tiger tutorial. So I'm just going to be doing part of the fur here, and I'm going live on TikTok. I will also post later on YouTube. So for this next section of fur, right in here, I'm going to be first marking in where the black spots are going to be, which I already have from my line art. Not really caring about the direction yet. I'm just putting in dark sepia. I want to get a color, couple colors in first, and then I will add black later, just to give some more depth to it. So just laying down some color. Dark sepia is a brown color. It's very, very dark, so it's like a warm gray. So yeah, I'm using pastel pencils on pastel matte paper, and this is going to be the fur layering process. The direction of the fur is super important, so you do want to note that. And I got the line art from Tracing, so you can join my Patreon lessons. I actually give you the line art there. And the link for that is in my bio. Anyway, so we're almost done here. One of the things you need to know about drawing orange fur is because you're not going to find a really good deep orange or dark orange color that's going to work with something like a tiger. You're going to need to use a bunch of Indian red, purple, not necessarily Indian red, but I was just naming a deep red that I have and plan on using. So yeah. Lots of reds, purples, and greens, and I will show you all of that once I finish blocking in where all the shapes are going to be. There's actually another one right here. Look at that. Let's color that in. Also, thank you for everyone who is joining my live. Okay. So now that we have that blocked in, I'm going to put a little bit of red in here just because it gives the illusion of depth. And next I will be adding black. You will see me using red a lot in this piece. The only way to get like this sort of deep orange color is to use red. Okay, and then let's switch to black. Again, this is pastel pencils on pastel matte paper. I'm using the light gray for the paper. Okay, so just keep in mind the direction of the fur is going to be kind of straight up in the middle of the face and then starting to curve on the sides. Somebody's asking when I started drawing portraits. I started drawing in general with pastels 3 years ago, and I started doing commissions 1.5 years ago, I think. Okay, so that is the black done. Now, to get a realistic effect, we're going to want to transition between colors really well. So everywhere where there's black, and it's going to transition into an orangish pinkish color, we're going to need an in-between color, which brown works really well. So I'm using a walnut brown, and I like walnut brown because it's one of the darker browns, and also it has a little bit of red in it. And as I mentioned before, red is great for creating deep colors like orange. Thank you for joining, everyone. Okay. So I'm just going around everywhere where black is going to connect with orange, and I'm putting in brown. Using transition colors is really important, and Also, make sure you're seeing where all the shadows are. For example, in this tiger, not necessarily a shadow, but just marking, right here is a bit darker, so I'm putting some brown in there too. Later on, I'll be using a bunch of green and pink and red again, so I'll be showing you that in a little bit. Almost done with this transition part. Already it's making more sense to me, at least. I'm going to put in red now, just really lightly. A lot of the places where there's brown, I'm going to want to put red. If you can't see all these extra colors like green, pink, orange, whatever in your reference photo, as there are always some of these colors in whatever given drawing you're making, you might want to turn up the saturation on the photo in your photo editing app, and that'll help you see the colors. So you can just put them in there, and then as you blend, they won't be as obvious, but it'll really help your drawing have depth. So just red, kind of everywhere, but more where the brown is. Thank you. I do have lessons in my link, and the link in my bio, so make sure to check that out if you'd like. Okay, now I'm actually going to add some Pastel. So this is just, as you can see, it's this color, and I really think this helps bring everything together. I'm putting this everywhere where there isn't black, basically, really lightly in the direction of the fur. I still haven't touched orange yet. If you use the colors that are labeled like orange or orange glaze or whatever they're labeled, it's going to look like a carrot, and tigers actually look more like a really deep orange with some pink and all that. At least that's what I see. So I really don't think pure orange is going to help us very much, but some oranges that are good are, for example, terracotta, which I will be adding. So this is terracotta. I'm just going to lightly put this everywhere I put the Pastel. Okay. Alright, and then let's also put in some green where we see green. I see green up here a lot. Again, if you can't see the colors very well, turn up the saturation, figure out which colors are there, and then make sure to use your normal photo, like the original photo, for the rest of your drawing, because turning up the saturation can really mess with some things. And another great orange to use is burnt ochre. So let's put that in. Most of the highlighting is going to be done with light pinks and like flush colors. Just FYI. Thank you to everyone who is joining. I am making a tutorial on how to draw a tiger live on TikTok, and I will be posting it to YouTube later. Okay, so now that we've added all those new colors, I'm just gonna fix, remember how we made the transition between black and other colors with brown? In some places that got a little bit muddy, so I'm adding back that brown because it is important. And we will also be adding back the black in just a little bit after we do some blending, as well as adding in the brown again. I think I'm going to put in some more Indian red. You don't have to use the Indian red, but I just like it because it's really deep. It's like this color. So using that, and using red is super important in creating shadows in orange, like I said before. Okay, I'm liking that as a base layer. It looks pretty good. Just gonna add some purple now. Second, this is Carbothello. It's like a purpley color like this. When you're getting the base layer, and if you're not using pastelmat, it's a completely different process because pastelmat allows you to have so many layers that you can actually do this sort of stuff. A lot of papers don't do this with pastels. Anyway, now that I've added purple, I've got this kind of background that, underlayer that is darker than the what I see in the reference photo, and that's good because now when I blend this, I'm going to be able to add highlights on top of it, and it's going to be the right color. So this is going to be all the shadow poking out from under the highlights. Okay, next I'm going to add back the black because it's gotten messy, and I'm going to do little first strokes with it. By the way, make sure to like this video if you are enjoying it. It really helps. So I'm making little fur marks now. And make sure to have the black overlap with the other colors that are in front of it in the direction of the fur growth. In this next couple of layers where we're doing fur marks, overlapping is going to be super important. Okay, just still overlapping with whatever's in front of the direction of the fur growth. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Adding in a little spot that I missed before. Okay. And there's one here as well. Okay, I think that looks good. Let me just fix this spot. Okay. Next, I know I said this is like the layer that's going to show through is the shadow, but I want something even darker than this to give even more contrast. So I'm going to take, see, is this good? Yeah. This is the 280 of the Pitt pastel set. It's burnt umber. And as you can see, it's a bit darker. I don't know if you can see it from here, but it is a bit darker than the other colors we've put down. And I'm not gonna do it too much. You should still be able to see the other layer a lot, but I'm gonna put this in just pretty much everywhere. And again, I'm doing this to create more contrast, so when I add the highlights, the difference between the lightest color and the darkest color is a lot more, and it will make it look more 3D. I think I'm also going to add back some of that brown that we keep blending and adding back. The brown that was around the black. But we are sort of almost there. This is what you want to see, is the underlayer before you put any sort of highlights down. What was I doing? Right, walnut brown. Okay. So before you do any sort of highlighting, you want to make sure that there's no paper showing through in all these layers. Sometimes it can be hard to fill the tooth of the paper, but just maybe press down some more or add some more of the same colors, add more colors, blend them, and keep going until you can't see any paper showing through, because you don't want to be able to see through your tiger. I'm getting to the highlights soon, just having to fix some of this brown stuff. Okay, so the first color I'm going to use for highlights is actually going to be green, which is not something you'd expect probably, but it does go really well. After the green, I'm going to be adding a whole bunch of pink, and it's going to look like the rest of this tiger. Somebody in the chat asked what's a good pastel brand. The one that I recommend you get for like the first time would be Carbothello. Let me get a pencil for you to show you. The Carbothello brand. Okay, I hope you can see that. Stabilo Carbothello that have these like gray tips on the end. I would recommend that for beginners, just because it's a really good pencil, and I think it's the best one that's most like cost efficient. And then you are going to want pastel matte paper if you want to layer like this and get a whole bunch of fur, but if you just want to try them out first, you can get whatever paper is in your art store. Just make sure that it's for pastels because it needs to have some tooth. Okay, so we're still adding greens in here. Fur direction is super important. Again, go check out my Patreon channel if you would like some lessons. It's linked in my bio. Almost done with the green. I'm using earth green, by the way. Sorry for not mentioning it. I think it's a really natural color that goes with a lot of things. Okay, next I'm going to add some more terracotta. Since we added a whole bunch of darker colors after this, this is still super bright and adds a highlight. And I'm using the terracotta mainly because I want to introduce some more orange in here before I add the pink, because otherwise it might look too pink. And tigers are orange, so thank you for following. So doing the same thing here with the orange, or the terracotta, that I did with the earth green. And you can start to see it looking more and more like fur, but the final touches is going to be when I add the lightest colors, like pink and light flesh. And that's going to change the whole appearance. Thank you. When I'm making these fur marks or basically drawing anything, I tend to rotate my pencil. I don't know if you notice, but just every, like, see, I just turned it automatically. I don't even think about it anymore, and then I just readjust my grip. And the reason I do this is firstly to keep the pencil sharp, because if you keep turning it, and you kind of just end up sharpening it on the paper if you do it at the right angle. But also it just kind of helps with keeping things clean and not muddy, because you tend to drag the pencil through a lot of different colors, and you can get, like, I don't know, black in your orange. And turning it just kind of helps with that. I also was recommended that method by some other YouTubers, and I just started doing it, so I just thought I'd mention it. Alright, now for the pinks. First I'm going to be using cinnamon, just because I think this is a good color that goes with orange in general, and also I just see in my reference a lot. Since we want to transition from this white to the pinkish orange color here, I'm going to put a lot of light pinks next to the white eventually so that it transitions nicely. And you want to make sure not to cover up the layers under it. You want to put enough so that it looks like fur, but not so much that you cover up the layers under it, because then you're covering up that contrast and it'll just look like one color. Excuse me. Okay, other side. Thank you for following and for sharing. So this was a darker pink color because it's cinnamon. I am going to start using lighter ones now. Like this is, I think it's just called Light Flush. And you can see it looking more and more like the fur color of the completed parts that I've already done. Hello, thanks for joining. So we're getting there, we're actually almost done. There's just 2, maybe 3 more colors I want to put in here. Thank you. Make sure to give this video a like if you are enjoying it. Almost done putting the last of this light pink in. This is like pink white, so it's essentially white except it has a pink tint to it. So I'm gonna put this on top of and next to this other white patch of fur on the tiger, and I'm gonna use that to transition between the light pink highlights of the fur and the white part. So I don't want to just go abruptly from pink to orange. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so I'm still going to use this pink white in the rest of the fur as well, just pressing a bit lighter so it's not as white. And again, I'm not trying to use this everywhere. I do want a lot of the other layers to show up, especially as I'm using this really, really light color. Make sure to look at your reference photo when you're doing this. Don't want to put the lightest colors in areas that aren't very light. Okay, and I'm also going to add another color. This is Flesh. So we've been going from dark to light mostly on this video, and that's what I usually do. I'm just going back a step here and doing the Flesh. Thank you for following. We are almost done. I do note that I have to fix the black after this because I do want everything to overlap properly and in the direction of the growth. Making sure the fur is the right length is also really important, so make sure to keep checking that on your reference photo. A little bit more of the pink white. And what was the other color? This Light Flesh. These are kind of finishing touches, and then we're also going to fix the black. But before that, in the direction of the growth, we want to make sure there is a bunch of overlap. So everything that's kind of behind the black, if that makes sense, should be overlapping with it like this. Right, same thing over here. And then in that same way, the black is going to overlap with the colors in front of it, which you'll see in just a second. Okay, so then I grab the black and I do that same thing like this, with black overlapping the colors in front. And this just kind of helps all the fur fit together properly and looks more realistic. Almost done. Alright, and that is it. So I'm going to show you from a different angle. We just drew this whole section. If you would like to make it look softer, which I think I do, you can take a blending tool of some sort. This color shaper works great for this. And you just very, very lightly, like with feather touch, go over it. And then this might ruin some details. We can add it back later. But generally blending like this gives it more of an illusion of soft fur. So yeah, if you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, see you in the next video.